I wanted to show you guys just one of the loops out of the new pack and just kind of go over the different elements in there and maybe some of the processing that I used. This is one of my favorite ones. Yeah, so this is the final loop. This was one of my favorite ones. I just love like the low end on that kick, and I get nerdy with this kind of stuff where like the phase is just like perfect on it. I'm like, yes. You know, for this latest pack, I did a lot of live recording, a lot of Foley stuff, a lot of field recording and stuff like that, and kind of have like a custom sample pack of my own of just like really simple kind of clap loops and, you know, stomps and kick drums and all that kind of stuff. So I'm always pulling from that. So anyways, starting on this one, we have the kick drum up here. Some kind of interesting stuff happening here. I think it's the same kick drum. Yeah, it is the same kick drum, but you can even just see that, you know, I've turned some of these down a little bit. I've kind of like trimmed the decay on some of them. This one is more of like a ghost kick. And a lot of times what I'll do is just kind of fade the attack of it. So it's almost like more close to if you were actually hitting a kick drum, like a real kick drum, you know, the harder you hit it has that more snappy attack. And if you're kind of just doing a softer hit, it's that attack gets less. And that's kind of what I'm doing with that. It just kind of gives more movement to the drums. And then I think with this one, there's a bit of a swing to them too. A lot of times I'll just do that manually. You know, I can do it with the MIDI, but in this case, I just did it manually. Then from there, we have this 808 that comes in. This is usually what I use for sidechaining nowadays. Looks like I didn't use the multiband thing. It's just kind of doing a volume dip. I love this plugin in particular because I get to see the kick drum and I get to see the bass and kind of the exactly where it's cutting, and you can see the phase and all that. Basically, I've inverted the phase on this because it was slightly out of phase. So one easy way to do that is Ableton. You just grab the utility, click both of these. Now it's, yeah, perfectly in phase there. So if I take this off, you're going to see that duck right there. That's kind of what you want to avoid when you're sidechaining. And there, it's like perfect. So from there, I think I have like a Foley layer underneath that too. So, and that's just kind of giving a bit more kind of room sound, a bit more, just sounds a bit more organic. I have like another percussion. I think there's some processing on that. Got a little reverb. From there is a little rim shot. A lot of times I'll make rim shots just from kick drums. So if you take a kick drum and pitch it up, like way, way up, like 3-4 octaves, it's a rim shot. And then if you saturate it and, you know, compress it. So pro tip, try like, get like a nice kind of a kick drum you really like that's kind of dirty sounding, pitch it way up, it turns into a rim shot. So I tend to do this a lot where I just take like little transient clap sounds and kind of like put them right before a rim shot or a snare. And I think these are kind of, yeah, these are slightly different, these two, but, and then I have one more layer on that, which is, these are some live claps. And I don't think there's, yeah, there's a little bit of EQ, but not much processing on these. They're just panned hard left and right. You know, I intentionally left the noise in there. You can kind of hear the room sound in there, but. And I think that's, like for this pack in particular, I wanted it to just be a bit more natural sounding, a bit more kind of dirty. A lot of times I'll make drum loops that are just really pristine and super, super clean, but this time I wanted to have some more of that kind of natural noise and stuff in the background. I think it just adds to it, you know? So all those together. What else we got here? Yeah, some. Okay, reduce ambience. This is a big hack. If you guys don't know about this, this might be one of the best gate plugins. The multiband dynamics from Ableton, and everyone knows it for OTT, right? People just go for the OTT preset, but I highly recommend going through some of the other stock presets because they do some insane stuff. And basically this is doing like a gate. So I don't know how much it's doing on this sound. I can't promise that it's going to be that dramatic, but yeah, so it's kind of tightening it up, obviously getting rid of some of that high-end stuff there. But you can really, really dial it in. sometimes like say you have a loop that has a bunch of noise in the background, or maybe there's too much reverb, try reduce ambience and really play around with it. And it's multi-band, so you can, like, if you only want to affect the low end in it, so you have a snare where the low end decay is too long, you can like dial it back with that while keeping the high end intact. So you can do some amazing stuff with that. But yeah, people sleep on this because it's like OTT. Everyone just always uses OTT, and it's like, it's a really powerful multi-band dynamics plugin and processor. So yeah, experiment with some of the other presets. Like, that's a stock preset. Obviously, I've messed around with it a little bit, but that kind of blew my mind when I started using that. But I use it all the time now. Even on like vocals, say you want to clean up vocals a little bit, you know, just try that preset. It's actually kind of mind-blowing. Let's just see, just for fun. Okay, good example. That's got like a bunch of reverb on it, which I like, but let's just see. Reduce ambience. Just, that's the preset, haven't done anything. Like, come on, man. You can't tell me that's not like the best sounding gate you've ever heard. Like, before. It's insane. People are always looking for, like, you know, oh, what new plugin are you using for this stuff? And it's like, dude, learn the stock plugins first before you start going like, oh, I need this new third-party thing. It's like, you might already have something that's good or better than that in here that you don't have to pay for, you know? Yeah, highly recommend. Get to know your DAW, go through some of these presets, mess around with them. Super powerful. Next in this, I think I layered more noise. So you have some kind of like vinyl kind of record crackle in there. And then jungle kind of ambient sound. That was from a collection that I bought that was kind of like a donation thing for the World Wildlife Federation, I think. And it's all like fair use. But a lot of times with these kind of loops, what I'll do is I'll have my drums looping, and then I'll put in an ambient thing like that and just kind of scrub through it and try to find where the natural pocket is. And it's more just like listening and waiting for something interesting to happen. So I'll just have that looping. Like, that's kind of cool too. So a lot of times that's cool, let me put that aside. Let me try another one, you know? Maybe I'll turn this up so you can actually see what's happening. And then, yeah, I kind of do that I'll do that with multiple elements. Like I'll do that with the record dust thing. There might be a couple crackles that are kind of doing like a percussion-y, some kind of pattern that's cool, you know? So if you kind of, overall, it's like that attention to detail with each sound and just making sure the pocket is right, it adds up to something great, I think, or hopefully is great, and hopefully people like it. A lot of sounds, what I tend to do is I'll start with something, process it a lot, bounce it out, resample it, process it again, put it on a keyboard and play it, and then resample it. And like, I'm always trying to move forward and kind of like just processing stuff and kind of being, you know, freeze and flatten it and be done with it. A lot of times is really beneficial, because I like to manipulate the audio more than like MIDI, especially with these kind of loops. That one's got a bunch of saturation. I can just hear that. Let's see. Pretty subtle, but it's doing something, I guess. I don't know. This plugin I use a lot. This one's incredible on kicks. It's kind of like a transient designer. Basically, like, you have your sustain portion and your transient portion, and you can kind of EQ each separately. That's really great. So say I have a kick that I like it, but there's maybe too much mid-range in the release of it or the decay. You can just roll that off, you know? Or, oh, the attack is like it's too brittle sounding. You can like dial back the high end on the attack, or just turn it down a little bit. Or so this one I use so much for drum stuff. Like, it's really, really great. Black box, that's another classic, just saturation. Pretty much have that cranked up. There's nothing in here that's like that crazy. I think the one plugin that is kind of interesting that people might not know about is this Flutter plugin, which kind of, I actually don't really know how to describe what it's doing. I just call it like sine wave distortion, but I really don't know what it's doing. But basically, like you put this on anything with high end, like hi-hats or noise or anything like that, and then you set the sidechain to something with low end, like a kick or an 808 or something like that, and it'll distort the signal based on that sidechain input. It's a little hard to describe, but I can kind of show you what that's doing. So maybe what I'll do is just crank this up so you can really hear what it's doing. I'm just going to exaggerate it here. We'll put that on the group so we don't have to do it like this. Okay, so what I've done is I've set the sidechain to the kick, which is up here, this guy. So basically every time that kick is hitting, or maybe I'll set it to the 808. That's going to be, yeah, you're going to be able to hear this a bit better. So let's change that to 808. Yeah, you can really hear it breaking up there. So it's doing a bit of volume dip too, like a sidechain. But so if I bypass that, you can hear the noise. It sounds like it's on top of it. It's not really like part of it, but a little bit of this, and it just kind of like it does this thing where it just kind of glues it together in like a really pleasant way, and it like. So you can go really extreme with it. And it's almost emulating like if you're, you know, a Fruity Loops user, slamming your 808 and your vocals or something into the master clipper in FL. It's going to kind of give it that sound too. It's very similar to that, but this is just a way to do it that's like kind of more controlled and like I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's amazing. Like, and you can use it really subtle, like even without, with. Just a little bit of it goes a long way. Experiment with it. Shout outs. I don't know who made this plugin, but it's amazing. I love it. So this is one that people probably don't really know about. So definitely check that out. Especially if you're into like distorted, dirty sounds. This is like an awesome thing to mess around with. You know, throw it on hi-hats, throw it on vocals, throw it on Foley. Like it's really, really cool. And then I think maybe the last thing I could show is just like the overall processing on that. And I can't really remember what I did on this particular one, but this chain here is all just parallel compression. It's actually kind of doing nothing on this particular track. Like, I think I got, okay, sketch cassette. That's interesting. Okay. By the way, I have no set, like people will see this and they'll be like, that's his like drum thing. And it's like, I don't have a drum chain. Like I literally do something different every time. There's definitely certain plugins that I'll use a lot, but there's no like stock thing where I'm just like, I throw this on all my stuff. It's kind of like, I like to do it from scratch. I don't know. It's just like more interesting to me. Like, okay, for some reason I pulled this up and was using this that day. This is another like compressor. Shout out to Mix Ready who made this preset. I don't know why, but I put this on like pretty much every loop in the pack has a little bit of this. Just a little bit of kind of top end. Spectre, just a little bit of top end there too, barely doing anything. This is a great plugin. Yeah, it's just like a saturator, but you know, you have more control over the bands and stuff. It's really good. Gold clip, for some reason I used on that one. Just kind of trimming a couple of peaks there, not really doing anything super crazy. So sometimes I'll do more bus processing, but a lot of times I try to do most of it on individual sounds or just groups, you know, like go in, spend the time on the individual sounds, and then you won't really have to do that much. Maybe a little bit of compression or something just to like glue it together and obviously get the levels right. But I'll spend like, something like this can take hours and hours, like hours. Like I can make a track faster than I can make one of these, like easily. Because I have to, you know, if I'm making all the sounds from scratch and I'm like designing everything, like it takes forever. So yeah, I hope that's some insight into how it's done here. But yeah, that was one of my favorite loops out of the pack. So I thought I'd kind of show how that one was made. Oh yeah, of course. I always get excited when I hear any sounds in records. It's just like, it's always a sign that I'm like, you know, doing the right thing and kind of like, okay, people appreciate what I'm doing. I put in so much effort into these packs, and like hopefully this illustrates a little bit of it, but like I'm just really passionate about it and I always want to make the best stuff. And yeah, whenever I hear something that's been used in a song, it just feels great because it's like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I've like, you know, it wasn't in vain. You know, people appreciate what I'm doing. So, yeah.